Hello everybody, welcome to episode 5 of Heart to Heart. In today's episode, I'm going to explain to you why we switched from Canon to Fuji as full-time professional wedding photographers. All right, you guys, this is the question that I get asked all the time. Why? Why did we switch from Canon to Fuji? Why did we leave our beautiful, glorious 5D Mark III, 5D Mark IV if you're next level, and SLR, and go to a mirrorless system? Not only a mirrorless system, but a crop sensor mirrorless system, no less, right? Like, why do we do this? There's great reasons why, and I love chatting about this. For starters, let's talk about why you even would switch camera systems. Now, as I say camera systems, I'm not just talking about staying within the Canon environment or the Nikon environment and moving up, let's say 5D Mark II to a 5D Mark IV. I'm saying the entire ecosystem of leaving the brand of Canon, selling it all off, and moving to a new system like Nikon or Fuji or Sony. Why would you even do that in the first place? I think for most people, the reason that why you would do that would be that the tech specs that system is offering are just better, right? Like better dynamic range, better low light performance, better focusing speed, better ISO. I guess it's low light. Maybe it's a cleaner, tighter system. They've got a better lens setup, off-camera lighting options. Michael, any other reasons that I'm missing? Like, that's really it. Like, I think that's right? Those are the main reasons why you would switch camera systems. Color profile would probably be another one. It's not why we switched from Canon to Fuji. And I need you to understand this. I think that switching from Canon to Fuji for a lot of photographers might not be the right move. It truly might not be. It was the right move for us, and I stand behind this decision 100%. I am a better photographer because of it. Let's break down why we did it. When switching from Canon to Fuji, we gained a few things and we lost a few things. Let's talk about the things that we lost, actually. So we are now on a crop sensor mirrorless system, and so the sensor size is going to be smaller. What this means is we've effectively lost the opportunity to get super shallow depth of field images. In terms of depth of field on a crop sensor, it's where when we put an F2 lens on, in terms of depth of field relative to a full frame sensor, in terms of depth of field, an F2 lens on the Fuji crop sensor is going to be more like an F4, F4.5. Again, not in terms of light receiving, but in terms of depth of field. And so that's something that we lost. We lost that super dreamy, creamy, like always out of focus look at all times, right? Now we've got some workarounds that we could talk about, but that's one thing we lost. Another thing we lost is we are now in a mirrorless system. Now, mirrorless, the technology for mirrorless is it's incredible, you guys. Like, it really is. Michael, there was some years, leading up to this whole thing with mirrorless, it's been rough. It's been a rough go. But Sony and Fuji, you guys, Sony and Fuji are just stepping up. Now, currently we're on the Xt-2, the Fuji Xt-2. On the current system, the Fuji Xt-2, the focusing happens directly on the sensor, and it's just through contrast points. What this means is, when you're focusing on low light, with low light, you have low contrast. And so we've also lost some of our low light focus capability in terms of like the snappiness that maybe we were used to. That's another drawback that we've kind of lost. The next thing that we've lost is the massive lens lineup. And this is actually one that many people, Michael, many people would consider this to be like a downfall. I love it, you guys. I love the simplicity, the minimalism, the clean, efficient lens setup that we have. Like, I don't need 24 lenses. I don't need 30 lenses. On the Canon system, there's like hundreds of lenses. I need like 3 great lenses, right? And so technically we lost that entire lens lineup, but I'm really happy, I'm really satisfied with where we're at. Other than that, there was definitely a period of time where off-camera lighting was a little tricky. They've now worked out a lot of the kinks, and I'm excited to see that tech has really grown and caught up. Let's talk about what we gained, because that's why you're here. Why switch from Canon to Fuji? Here's why you do it. Can we get a Canon? Can we get a Fuji over here? Can you grab it for me, man? Yeah, let's get a little tight ding, ding, ding. Like, let's get a little timer going here. Maybe not the music, because that's kind of annoying and dated. But let's get like maybe we'll hyperlapse this. Yeah. Let's do that. We'll do a little hyperlapse. You guys, I want to show you the difference between like the weight of the lens on what we have with a Canon versus a Fuji. Like, it's just nuts. These lenses that we have are so small and they're so efficient. The camera body itself is so small and it's so efficient, and it's about speed. We'll show it to you here in a second. Okay, you guys, we've got our gear here, and so I just want to show you like a difference. Let's talk about lenses. Lenses is really what we're talking about here, because it's the weight aspect of it. Like, I'm dealing with, like, you know, this, it's just ridiculous. Like, the fact that, like, this is essentially a 50 millimeter f.95. That, I mean, versus you know, an 85 here. This would be another 50 millimeter f2. They're all like this size, you guys. It's absolutely nuts. We didn't grab the 90 or the 90 on the crop sensor, but anyhow, so they're tiny. So what you gain with this is our shooting style, you guys, is all about getting up close and being present in the moment, being present with the energy. We are photographers who are in there. We are not completely fly on a wall. We are very present. And what we've discovered is when we have a small, nimble setup, we're able to work really quickly. Let's talk about that. Speed is everything. The fact that I can have my entire setup right here. We've got some more gear coming in right now. 7200 for a 5D, you know, for a full frame setup for Canon. This thing's massive. Like, I can't put this in my pocket, right? This is what I love. We don't have caps on these. This is what I love. My entire wedding setup, you guys, for Fuji can be in this little shoulder bag. I'm talking my entire wedding setup. I'm talking my flash, my camera. I got my backup camera in the car. Like, it all can fit inside of here. This is when we're talking about speed and efficiency, this is it. What we discovered was when we used to be shooting Canon and we used to be shooting pro photo, we were missing moments. We were missing moments because we were having to run back to our bag and get another lens. We were having to run out to the car and get another lens. We were having to set up stuff or haul things around and move it around, and we were missing moments, you guys. Not only that, but when you roll up on a father of the bride on a wedding day and you're shooting with this system right here, right? This doesn't even have a camera grip on it. Most wedding photographers, Michael, would have a camera grip on this. Like, when you're rolling up on a wedding day with this, pointing this at a father of a bride, like, it tends to like bind people up. It tends to constrain people and to constrict them, versus when you have a system like this that it feels so unobtrusive, and you can go completely silent shutter. Not only that, you can flip screen this thing out, right? Flip screen out. You can even just be shooting from down here, completely silent shutter, while looking at the camera, almost like a street photographer would. It allows you to get moments that you wouldn't normally get. It allows you to be in the energy and in the moments in a way that is far more, maybe aggressive is the right word, right? I think Fuji photographer, like I would say a Fuji photographer is going to be probably a little bit more aggressive in their approach. Like, you're going to think more like a street photographer and get in and be a part of the moments. So that's one of the things that I love, is how close we're able to get. The next thing is, this is going to be something that's counterintuitive. One of the counterintuitive things is I find great progress in limitations. Look, camera systems these days are just ludicrous. They're amazing. Like, you can do everything and anything like instantly. Like, I get that the camera does not make the photographer. The camera does not make you a good photographer. But sometimes when you want to get better, I almost feel like limiting yourself in certain ways, just turning off the switch on a couple options, right, pushes you to become better. This is why, you know, to start, we would bring with us, man, we would bring this with us like 10 lenses on a wedding day, and we started to narrow this down. Now with Fuji, we're bringing more like 3 lenses with us on a wedding day, and we're narrowing that down. We're being more restrictive. It forces us to think more about what we're doing, to be really intentional. But the other thing that we wanted to kind of stop relying on was one of the cons that I talked about, which is depth of field, which is blurring everything out of focus, making everything super shallow. I think the default for so many wedding photographers is, I don't know what to do, I'm panicked, I'm a little lazy right now because it's been a long day. I know that I can at least put the sun at the back of the couple and I can throw it all the way down to f1.2 with a 50mm lens and it'll be good enough, it'll be pretty. And I get that. I think it's a beautiful photograph, but we started to just rely on that crutch, and we wanted to pull that crutch out. We wanted to pull that rug out from under us and start to think a little bit more intentionally about composition, about aperture and depth of field as it relates to narrative, as it relates to storytelling, and to start thinking more about the story of the images. Rather than blurring everything out of focus in the background, maybe it makes sense to shoot at f4.5 and to show more context to the scene and to really think about the light holistically in the scene, not just that foreground subject. And so Fuji has honestly made us better photographers. I don't know what else to say. I'm not saying I'm the best photographer, but it's just forced us to think more dynamically, Michael, about storytelling, about light, about composition, and about depth of field. And for that, I'm so grateful. I'm going to say a bold statement. I believe that you have to be a better photographer to shoot on the Fuji Xt-2 to get good results than you do shooting on a 5D Mark III or a 5D Mark IV or a full frame Canon camera. And all I mean is this, just to be clear, I don't mean that you are a better photographer, but I'm saying if you wanted to compare apples to apples, you just have to think more dynamically, more on your toes, because the crutch of depth of field you just don't have. That's all I mean. You can't just simply blur things out. You have to be thinking far more about composition, far more about storytelling and narrative when you shoot with this. And so for most people, I don't recommend it because they're going to get it and they're going to be disappointed. You can't shoot the same way. You can't shoot the same way with this that you do with this. I should say this, if you're just going to be blurring everything out, you know what I mean? You just have to shoot differently. And that's why I love it. You guys, that's why we have switched from from Canon to Fuji. There's some other fun little bells and whistles that I'll wrap up with. Completely silent shutter mode, which is really cool. When I say silent, there's no shutter. It is completely silent. You guys, when you're some of the photographs, can we show that photograph that we took, the wedding that I had my hand praying over the groom? I was a groomsman and the photographer on the wedding, and I was taking photographs as I was shooting. Yeah, we've actually got it right there. We'll see. Here, hand me that. Let's see if it comes across. Otherwise, we'll show an actual copy. So check this out. Okay. This is what I'm talking about when I say silent shutter. The fact that this is my hand right here. See this ring? This is my hand. I was the photographer and the groomsman on the day. I was the photographer and the groomsman on the day. And so with one hand praying over the couple, and then with the other actually taking this picture, completely silent. No one was even present that I was doing this. It was just all incognito. That's something I love about it. There's a couple other photographs that I've gotten that I just would not have been able to take if it wasn't for this. With the size of this camera and how silent it is, like Ben's been talking about, the sooner that you can essentially break down the wall that you are the vendor, you're the photographer, and just be you, just be Ben. I mean, look, even just the fact that I can just keep this in my hand at my side and be present and talk to you, rather than having this big camera around my neck that I'm all suited up, almost like I'm going to war, and I'm so clearly the vendor, I'm so clearly the photographer. I want to remove all that barrier between me and the person that I'm talking to. Does that make sense? I want to make sure that there's no tech in between me and them, so I can just set this down and I can have a conversation with somebody, and I can relate, and I can empathize. And when I need to get the photograph, I get the photograph. It's photographing with empathy first instead of gear first. I think that's what it comes down to, Michael. Fuji allows me to photograph with empathy first and gear second. Now it's a critical piece, right? You need this, otherwise you get nothing. But it's kind of flipping it. It's putting people before photography. Look, we've got a rule on Style and Story that says people are more important. People are more important than photography. The way that we get great photographs is by focusing on people first. When we put people first, it turns out you get really amazing pictures. Other than that, there was one other thing I was going to talk about. Last thing is this. We'll get a close-up on it. it's just a really fun camera to shoot with. Like, it's just fun. Like, all these little dials, let's get a little close-up going here, Michael. All these little dials right here. Yeah, you can come on in. Michael, get this. All these little dials on here, the fact that you can choose to shoot like full like manual with this thing, it's a fun camera to hold. It's a fun camera to shoot with. All of the lenses are declicked. So when you want to change your aperture, you're literally changing the aperture on the lens. You're not just rolling a mechanical dial to do it. So if I want to be at f2, I literally assign it on the lens physically. If I want to go to f5.6, I do it physically. And it's brought new life to photography. If you're feeling bored with shooting, if you're feeling like it's easy, if you're feeling stale, if you want to bring new life to your photography, maybe this is it, because it does mix it up. Like, it mixes it up and it'll be far more fun. I love it. Actually, I need to say one more thing. It's a conviction thing. I kind of got annoyed with Canon not listening and not innovating, not listening to the buyers, not listening to the consumers, and refusing to innovate because they're such a big brand. It just kind of bugged me. And the fact that Fuji and Sony keep listening to the buyers, keep listening to the photographers, innovating, putting in new tech, putting in new firmware upgrade. Like, dude, we now have, when we bought this camera, like, Fuji makes firmware upgrades all the time. They just decided to open it. They figured out a way to do it, and they opened up 120 frames a second at 1080p. At 19, like full HD, 120 frames a second was not in this camera when we bought it, and now this week is in this camera. That would never, ever happen on Canon. They're gonna make you wait 5 years and spend an extra $4,000, and then they'll give you 120 frames a second at 1080. They just won't move. They don't listen. They don't innovate. And for me, I'm always going to support the company that might be smaller, and but at least they're listening and at least they're innovating. It's a conviction thing. You guys, thank you so much for being here. If you like this video, share it out. If you're trying to balance, do you make this move? Feel free to message me. Feel free to DM me on Instagram at jbenhartley. Leave comments below. I read every one. If you have a question that you want answered, then leave the comment below or DM me at jbenhartley. You guys, thank you so much for being here. Please subscribe, share this video, and ring the bell so you get notified. Smash the bell, ring it. You know what I'm talking about. Just click the mouse on the bell, right? So you get notified when we make another video. Thank you so much for being here, everybody.